Welcome to the video. Today we'll explain how frequent visitors under the U.S. Visa Waiver Program can avoid the immigrant intent trap. We'll move step by step. What immigrant intent means, common red flags, how to prove strong ties to your home country, what to say at the border, and safer long-term strategies. Let's begin. First, why does this matter? Immigration officers must ensure visitors do not intend to live, work, or study in the U.S. on the Visa Waiver Program. Even if your trips are brief, frequent patterns can raise doubts. Understanding their perspective helps you prepare and avoid problems. Now, let's map out today's plan. Here is our roadmap. We'll explain immigrant intent, outline patterns that trigger scrutiny, show how to prove ties to home, provide a concise border script, discuss packing strategies, present a safer travel rhythm, consider alternatives, and close with a checklist, summary, and a couple of quick quizzes. Next, let's define immigrant intent clearly. Before we proceed, a quick disclaimer. This is educational content, not legal advice. Each situation is different, and decisions can vary by officer and port of entry. For tailored guidance, consult a licensed U.S. immigration attorney. With that in mind, let's define immigrant intent. Immigrant intent means the officer suspects you plan to live, work, or study in the U.S. rather than visit temporarily. Under the Visa Waiver Program, you may stay up to 90 days per visit, but the key is temporary intent. Officers check whether your purpose aligns with the program rules and whether you can demonstrate ties compelling your return home. Frequent visits to a U.S. citizen partner often trigger questions because they can look like an attempt to move in without a proper visa. Now that we've defined the concept, let's examine patterns that raise flags. Next, patterns that raise scrutiny. The strongest trigger is visiting a U.S. citizen partner because it suggests a clear path toward permanent residence. Another is cumulative time in the U.S. Spending around 15 to 20 weeks per year can make it appear that the U.S. is becoming your primary base. Also, arriving with excessive luggage for a short trip suggests moving belongings rather than visiting. Many experts share an unofficial rule of thumb. Aim to spend at least twice as much time outside the United States as inside to reduce concern. With these red flags in mind, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. Question: what is the single biggest trigger for deep questioning at the U.S. border for frequent VWP visitors? Options are A. Visiting a U.S. citizen romantic partner, B. Buying souvenirs at duty-free, C. Having a window seat on the plane, D. Landing on a weekday. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is A. Visiting a U.S. citizen romantic partner. This relationship suggests a plausible path to permanent residence, which is why officers examine intent closely. Now, let's talk about how to demonstrate strong ties to your home country. To overcome the presumption of immigrant intent, you need to demonstrate strong ties to your home country. Useful documents include proof of academic or work commitments, such as enrollment letters, schedules, or an employment contract with a return-to-work date. Financial or housing obligations like a lease or mortgage also help. Always maintain a confirmed return flight. Additional supporting ties can include family or community responsibilities and sufficient funds for a short visit. Keep these available but present them only if asked. Next, here's a quick checklist to organize your documents efficiently. This table summarizes what to bring and why. Enrollment or job letters prove mandatory presence in your home country. Lease or mortgage documents demonstrate ongoing obligations. A return flight shows you plan to depart within the permitted window. Bank statements support the claim of a short, funded trip. Invitation details from a partner can help if asked, but avoid oversharing. Now, let's move into exactly how to handle border questions, step by step. When you meet the officer, be honest, concise, and calm. Use a simple script such as, I am visiting for 2 weeks to see my partner, and I have a return flight on a specific date. Answer only what is asked, and avoid volunteering extra information. If asked for proof, show relevant documents like your return flight and ties to your home country. Remain composed. A history of compliant travel helps. If you are sent to secondary inspection, stay polite and consistent. Next, let's visualize how a decision typically unfolds with a dedicated flowchart. This flowchart shows the general path of a VWP traveler. The process starts with arrival and primary questioning about purpose and length of stay. If the officer is satisfied with the traveler's explanation and sees evidence like a return ticket, they may admit the traveler. If doubts arise, the traveler may be sent to secondary inspection, where the officer can review ties to the home country in more detail. Based on the outcome, the traveler is either admitted for up to 90 days or refused entry with possible cancellation of VWP privileges. Now, let's examine travel timing using a timeline. This timeline presents an example pattern that keeps time in the U.S. relatively short, followed by longer periods abroad. The idea is to maintain roughly a 1-to-2 ratio of time in the U.S. versus time outside the U.S. While not a formal rule, it can help counter the perception of moving in gradually. Next, let's compare short-term visiting under VWP with pursuing a formal immigration path. On the left, VWP or ESTA allows short visits only, prohibits work and study, and while multiple trips are permitted, the pattern of travel matters. It is generally cheaper and faster initially, but carries the risk of refusal if your intent appears immigrant. On the right, a formal immigration path like a fiancé or spousal visa allows you to reside with your partner legally and, after certain steps, may authorize work or study. It is slower and more document-heavy, but once approved, border risk is reduced. Now, let's take a second quiz to reinforce the timing concept. Question: what is a commonly suggested unofficial ratio of time outside the U.S. to time inside to reduce concerns about immigrant intent? Options are A 1-to-1, B 2-to-1, C 1-to-2, D 3-to-1. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B, 2-to-1. Spend at least twice as much time outside the United States as inside. This is a commonly recommended but unofficial guideline, intended to reduce the appearance of moving in gradually. Next, let's look at packing behavior, which can be a surprisingly strong signal. Packing can communicate intent. For a 2-week visit, travel light with a carry-on and a small personal item. Pack only seasonal clothing appropriate for the trip. Avoid multiple oversized suitcases for short stays, which may signal moving belongings. Keep important documents accessible, but present them only if requested. Consistent light packing supports the narrative of a temporary visit. Now, let's consolidate the essential takeaways. Key points: be honest, concise, and calm with officers. Maintain strong, provable ties to your home country. Keep a consistent record of timely departures, and always have a booked outbound flight. Avoid accumulating long, cumulative stays in the United States. Do not arrive with excessive luggage for short visits. If your goal is long-term cohabitation, consider a formal immigration path. Next, a brief summary to wrap up the essentials. To summarize, immigrant intent focuses on whether your purpose is genuinely temporary. Frequent visits to a U.S. citizen partner combined with long, cumulative stays attract scrutiny. Consider maintaining approximately a 2-to-1 ratio of time outside the United States to time inside. Carry proof of ties but present it only if requested. Use a concise border script and stay composed. If long-term cohabitation is your goal, explore appropriate immigration visas. Finally, here's a creative call to action. Thank you for watching. If this video helped, please like, share, and subscribe. Share your questions or experiences in the comments so others can learn as well. Safe travels.